Welcome back to Jyoti Hydroponics Farm videos. Let's get started to get better at farming. Today, we'll be learning about the actual nutrients for our hydroponic system. Firstly, we'll have a look at water analysis for watering our plants in our hydroponic system. Now, there are a few parameters with upper range and optimum range. So let's start with EC for our seedlings, that is for germination. The maximum upper range is 0.75 ms, that is millisiemens, and the optimum is below 0.25 ms. The pH has to be between 5 to 6.5. SAR, that is SAR, that is also called as sodium absorption ratio, that has to be below 4, and the upper range is 4. Now comes the alkalinity, that has to be less than 100 milligram per liter. Then comes the bicarbonate, it has to be between 30 to 50 milligrams per liter. You can see here the upper range, but I always suggest to have the optimum range for the parameters that is there on the screen. For calcium, it has to be 40 to 100 milligram per liter. Magnesium, it has to be 6 to 24 milligram per liter. Iron, that is Fe, has to be 1 to 2 milligram per liter. Manganese has to be 0.2 to 0.7 milligram per liter. Boron has to be 0.2 to 0.5 milligram per liter. Copper has to be 0.08 to 0.15 milligram per liter. Molybdenum 0.02 to 0.05 milligram per liter. Fluoride has to be less than 0.3 milligram per liter. Sulfate has to be 24 to 230 milligram per liter. Chloride less than 50 milligram per liter, and sodium less than 30 milligram per liter. Now, this is actually the watering analysis for watering the plants in our hydroponic system. Let's move to our next slide now. Here, what actually the water quality is. There are 4 standards of water quality, and the best suited standard is standard 1. So the standard 1 water quality is whose EC is less than 0.5, sodium level is less than 35, and chlorine level is less than 53. Next comes is the standard 2, which is not at all suitable for hydroponics, and that is less than 1. The EC is less than 1, sodium is less than 69, and chlorine is less than 106. Now the standard 3 water quality is not suitable for salt sensitive crops and for hydroponics. And standard 3 water quality has an EC of less than 1.5, sodium is less than 104, and chlorine is less than 160. Now the last one comes the standard 4, which is not suitable for crops in greenhouse and reduces the crop quality and yield for your farm and for your plants. So the standard 4 is with a high EC more than 1.5, sodium level more than 104 milligram per liter, and chlorine level again more than 160 milligram per liter. In this, only standard 1 is suitable for most of the crops in hydroponics. So always make sure the water that you're using for your hydroponic system, its EC has to be always below 0.5, sodium level has to be less than 35 milligram per liter, and chlorine level has to be below 53 milligram per liter. Anything that has as much as low reading is best for your hydroponics when EC, sodium and chlorine is taken under consideration for your hydroponic system. Let's move ahead. Now, nutritions. Essential plant nutritions. Oxygen. Little of oxygen is taken by roots for respiration. That too from the top of the roots. So the dissolved oxygen in the irrigation water has to be between 6 to 9 ppm only. To generate extra oxygen, we need to just put an agitator in our irrigation water to get extra oxygen to our plants, or else you can also add H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, that we had actually seen in our previous video. Next comes carbon. It is taken by leaves from the air in the form of carbon dioxide. And third comes the hydrogen. It is taken from the water that we actually give it to our roots in our hydroponic system. Next comes the water soluble nutrients. This is the most important part here because all our nutrients that we are adding to our plants in our hydroponic system, they have to be water soluble. So here we'll talk about the elements, their intake forms and their positive negative ion. So make sure that you always have the information about this positive and negative ion, because this really plays a very important role in making your nutrition blend for your plants, as all the nutrients that are being taken by the plants are based on this positive and negative ion concept. So you have to have the knowledge of these positive and negative ions of the nutrients that we are actually supplying to our plants in our hydroponics. So nitrogen, the intake form is NO3 or NHO4. NO3 is actually a negative ion and NH4 is actually a positive ion. Next comes phosphorus, that is HPO4 and H2PO4. Both of them, they are negative. Then comes potassium, which is again a positive. Calcium, again positive. Magnesium, again positive. Sulfur, that is SO4, is negative. Iron, that is positive. Manganese, that is positive. Chlorine, that is positive. Boron is again positive. Copper is positive. Zinc is positive. Molybdenum is positive. So maximum nutrients that we are adding to our plants, that is all positive. Only nitrogen intake forms, phosphorus intake forms and sulfur, they are actually negative. So we need to make sure that whenever we are actually blending our own recipes, these positive and negative ions that we are actually using to make our nutrients, these positive and negative has to be always balanced. It has to be almost equal. There has to be no difference between positive and negative. There can be a difference for around approximately 0.1% or 0.2% or 0.3%, but not more than 3 or 4% is not at all acceptable. So whenever you prepare your blend, make sure that you have equal number of positive and negative ions in your nutrients for the plants, so that there is no imbalance of positive and negative ions in your nutrients and plants can easily intake all the nutrients they want from the blend that we have prepared. Now let's go ahead and check out our next slide. Why plants need fertilizers? It's because not all plants can access nutrients from the soil or air. Nutrients may not be in the soil or have leached out over time, or soil chemistry and structure can be altered by activities like intensive farming, construction, or traffic. And that's the reason why plants need fertilizer for growing. Remember, these are just guidelines. Be sure to read the direction before applying fertilizer to ensure your plants are happy and healthy all season long. Now, 3 prime chemical elements found in all mixed fertilizers are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Nitrogen promotes the healthy leaf growth by stimulating the production of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the main chemical that is involved in photosynthesis. Phosphorus supports the development of roots, stems, blossoms, and fruit. Potassium helps roots development and is for disease resistant and is also helpful in growing the size of your fruits. Now the trace elements are important to plant health. Main trace elements in fertilizers are calcium, copper, molybdenum, magnesium, manganese, boron, iron, zinc, and sulfur. These are also known as micronutrients. So let's go to our next slide here. I again say, remember, these are just guidelines. Be sure to read the direction before applying fertilizers to ensure your plants are happy and healthy all season long. Why we actually use water soluble fertilizers? We use them because they are fast acting but must be applied frequently on regular intervals. Base application used with water soluble fertilizers. Follow the mixing instruction. Water soil at the plant's base with a watering can or hose attachment or wet dripping system. Online dripping system. Good for feeding containers, plants and vegetables. Now, vegetables that are light feeders need a small amount of fertilizer when starting out. No additional feeding. They are like bush beans, mustard greens, peas, southern peas or turnips. Let's go to our next slide here. Moderate feeders. What are actually moderate feeders? Liquid plant food works very well. Good drainage and moisture holding mulch are important. Avoid use of manure on root vegetables as it can cause scabby patches on them. For example, beets, carrots, okra, pole beans, potatoes and sweet potatoes. Now, the plants that are heavy feeders. Liquid plant food works very well for heavy feeders as well. For example, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cantaloupe, cauliflower, corn, cucumbers, eggplant, kale, kohlrabi, onions, peppers, rhubarb, squash, tomatoes, and watermelon. Let's go to our next slide now. Macronutrient source. One has to be very careful with the source of nutrients we need because without knowing the source, we would just go on accumulating nutrition. For example, a dumb farmer already has a nitrogen and potassium source with him, that is potassium nitrate. And some expert ask him to get NPK for fruiting stage. So, unknowingly, not being aware of the source that he already has, he goes and get NPK for fruiting and end up wasting time and money both. Therefore, we need to be very careful about the source of nutrients we select for our plant nutrients. Here on the screen we have nutrients and their source that are used for hydroponic system. First comes the nitrogen. Nitrogen sources are calcium nitrate, which has 15.1% of nitrogen, potassium nitrate, which has 13.7% of nitrogen, ammonium nitrate, it has 33% of nitrogen, ammonium phosphate has 17% of nitrogen, ammonium sulfate has 21% of nitrogen, urea has 43% of nitrogen, but we never recommend to use urea in our hydroponic system. Next comes the potassium. Its sources are potassium nitrate, which has 37% of potassium, monopotassium phosphate, it has 25% of potassium, potassium sulfate, it has 40% of potassium. Next comes phosphorus. The source is monopotassium phosphate, it has 21% of phosphorus. Then comes magnesium. The sources of magnesium are magnesium sulfate and magnesium nitrate. Both are almost the same, that is 10 and 9.5% of magnesium. But we use magnesium sulfate as the magnesium source for our hydroponic system because magnesium sulfate, when used in hydroponic system, it also helps to actually improve the taste of the fruits and vegetables that are being grown on plants in our hydroponic system. Next comes calcium. The sources for calcium are calcium nitrate and calcium chloride. Calcium nitrate has 20% of calcium and calcium chloride has 36% of calcium. But we recommend only calcium nitrate because chloride again it's an element that increases EC of our water or of our substrate. So we recommend to use calcium nitrate for our hydroponic system. Next comes magnesium sulfate that has 13% of sulfate in it. Then comes potassium sulfate, which is again a source for sulfur, that has 18% of sulfate. So just go through the slide here once again with the name of the nutrients and their sources. I'll just wait here for 5 seconds, or the best what you can do is you can just pause the video here and check out the nutrients and their sources. Let's go to our next slide. Next slide is all about micronutrient source. We always prefer to make plants take chelated form of metal because it becomes very difficult for plants to take metals as their direct nutrition. Now, what is chelated? Does anybody know what chelated means? I'll use an example here to explain you what actually chelated is. Now, whenever you visit a doctor, when doctors, they actually give you medicine, they are being actually coated with a layer, or they are coated with a sweetness, or they are coated with a kind of plastic looking material. And why do they do that? It's because so that we can easily swallow that medicine. It's so bitter that it makes impossible for human being actually to take without that covering. So that is actually coated with a sweeter coat or with a plastic looking material so that it can be easily intake. Same goes with the plants. The metals has to be actually in the chelated form so that it can be easily taken by the plants. Now we'll just go ahead and look at the nutrients and its sources. The first one is iron, that is iron EDTA. It is 6 to 14%. Iron EDTA has 6 to 14% iron, but the absorption is at only 5.5 to 6 pH only. Next comes iron EDDHA, that is a chelated form of iron. It has 6% of iron and the absorption is at 11 pH also. So it has a very good absorption at its chelated form. Iron EDDHA is a chelated form of iron. Manganese. Now the source for the manganese is manganese sulfate, that has 24% of manganese, and manganese chelate. We recommend for manganese sulfate because we need to actually balance the ions there. Manganese has a positive ion, sulfate has a negative ion. So manganese is actually added with the sulfate. Next comes the zinc. Now the source for the zinc is zinc sulfate, that has 23% of zinc, and one is zinc EDTA. Here again we recommend to use zinc sulfate because zinc is positive and sulfate is negative. Next comes boron. The nutrient source for boron is boric acid, that has 18% boron, and borax has 7 to 14% of boron. Next comes copper, where the source for the copper nutrient is copper sulfate. Again, copper has a positive ion, sulfate has a negative ion, and it has 25% copper in it. The last but not the least, molybdenum, and the source for molybdenum are ammonium molybdate, that has 48% of molybdenum, and sodium molybdate, that actually has 39% of molybdenum. And the reason why we don't recommend sodium molybdate is because it increases the EC and pH of the water as well as for the substrate that we are actually using for our plants to get support in our hydroponic system. So we don't recommend sodium molybdate. Please make sure that you have very clear information about the nutrients that we actually use in our hydroponic system. Let's go to our next slide here. Why percentage of nutrients is necessary in our source? With this, I'll just explain an example here. NPK 19-19-19. What actually does it mean? In a layman term, 19-19-19 means 19% nitrogen, 19% phosphorus, and 19% potassium. And this is actually a wrong myth, which actually farmers think that NPK 19-19-19 has actually 19% nitrogen, 19% phosphorus, and 19% potassium. Not only farmers, everybody, they have this information. This is actually a wrong myth. Now, if you have an attentive look at the back of the bag of NPK 19-19-19, you would see a label showing N P2O5 and K2O5 with 19-19-19 mentioned below it. And why this 19-19-19 is actually 19-8-15 is just because of the atomic weight of the element in the nutrition. That is actually because of P2O5 and K2O, where there are extra oxygen 5 ions and extra 1 oxygen ion. So let's go ahead. Our next slide. Now here just have a look here. The ppm is just a formula for you to calculate the nutrient level for your, this is the right formula actually. So the ppm is always calculated. The percentage of nutrient in the source into 10 gives the ppm. That is 1 gram when used in 1 liter gives the ppm here. So here you just take an example here. For example, calcium nitrate. Now, what is the percentage of nitrogen in calcium nitrate? It's almost 15%. So how will you calculate the ppm that will be actually using for your plants to water? Now, here the ppm is calculated in such a way that whenever we want the water soluble nutrient for our plants, we actually add 1 gram of that in 1 liter to get a ppm equal to the percentage of nutrient in the source. For example, calcium nitrate has 15% nitrogen. That means 15 into 10 makes it 150. So whenever we add 1 gram of calcium nitrate in 1 liter of water, it will give us 150 ppm of solution that will be watering in our hydroponic system. So the ppm part is clear here. I'll again repeat it for more understanding. ppm is always equal to the percentage of nutrient in the source into 10. This gives the ppm only if you are adding 1 gram of the nutrient source in 1 liter of water. This actually gives the ppm. So never ever confuse with this. It's very simple to calculate ppm. Whenever you are adding 1 gram of your nutrient source to 1 liter water, it gives a ppm equal to the percentage of nutrient in the source. For example, calcium nitrate has 15% of nitrogen. So when calcium nitrate is taken 1 gram and is mixed in 1 liter of water, it gives a ppm of 150. Now let's go ahead and check out the concept of NPK here. Now, as you can see here on the screen, when we turn the bag towards the back, we get the information about NP2O5 and K2O at the back of NPK 19-90-19. This is actually 19-8-16. Now we needed 190 ppm of potassium by using NPK 19-90-19. We would have easily done by multiplying 19 into 10, and that would have given us 190, which would have been a wrong output, as we now know the actual percentage of potassium is only 16. Therefore, the output we would get as 160, and the plant result would give deficiency of potassium. And we would just think that we had given the right quantity, so why this has happened? Therefore, we need to always have the content information in our source of nutrient that we are using to supply to our plants. Let's go to our next slide here. Now, NPK 19-19-19 is actually NP2O5K2O 19-8-15. This is actually calculated with the help of atomic weight. Now, P2O5 means P plus P, that is 2 phosphorus, plus O plus O plus O plus O plus O, and 5 oxygen. Now, atomic weight of P is 30 and O is 16. That is, phosphorus is 30 and oxygen is 16. So that means P has atomic weight 30 here. So 30 plus 30. And O has 16, that is oxygen has 16, that means plus 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 6 and plus 16. That is equal to 140 now. Now from this result, 140 contains 60 phosphorus, that is 30 plus 30 makes 60, so 60 phosphorus, that is the percentage is 60 divided by 40 into 100, that makes it 43%. Now NPK is in the ratio 19-19-19. Therefore, 43% of 19 is equal to 8.17, which is almost equal to 8%. Got it? If still it's not clear, I would rather suggest go back a little bit, repeat the video. That will clear the concept of actually how the percentage is calculated. Let's go to our next slide here. I'll just take this example once again with K2O. Now, here K2O means K plus K, that is potassium plus oxygen. Now, atomic weight of K, that is potassium, is 39 and oxygen is 16. That is 39 plus 16, that is equal to 94. Now, from this result of 94, it contains 78 potassium. That makes it 78 out of 94 into 100 gives 83%. Therefore, 83% of 19 is equal to 15.77, which is almost equal to 16. So now we can say that NPK 19 is actually 19,816. So the second example must have cleared all your doubts. So always make sure that we actually know the content of our source first and then opt for the nutrients. I always suggest farmers to use the proper source to make their own nutrients and don't go with NPK in hydroponics. And the best option would be to get the nutrient recipe prepared by any consultant or from any expert for each stage of crop to get the best output of it without any deficiency while growing in your hydroponic system. Because I think if any consultant or any expert gives you any kind of nutrient recipe, make sure the nutrient recipe that you'll be using, that expert will be giving you, that nutrient recipe will be for your plants for lifelong. But when you actually take the nutrient recipe from any expert, ask them to give the information about the positive and negative ions of the nutrients comparison that they have actually used in their blend to actually make a recipe for their plants in hydroponic system. So whenever any expert is giving you a nutrient blend recipe for any plant, make sure that you always ask them for balance sheet of negative and positive ions of the nutrients that they have actually made for your plants that has to be planted in your hydroponic system. Let's go ahead to our next slide. I'll again repeat this chart here on the screen. It's very important. As I said before, whenever we are making our nutrient blend, we have to be very careful with the positive and negative ions concept of the elements that we are actually using for our plants in our hydroponic system. So make sure that you have the proper knowledge about positive and negative ions here. So just be on this page for 5 seconds. Look at all the elements, their intake forms and their positive and negative ions. I had talked about this in the starting of this video. So let's move ahead. Now, in this slide, we will learn about the mechanism of plants taking nutrients. So please make sure that you are very attentive here, because this is actually the concept of plants taking nutrients that we are actually supplying it in our hydroponic system. So be very attentive here, how the plants take nutrients and why it actually has to be maintained. So let's go ahead. Now, as plants, they have two parts. One is stem and one is root. The roots, they are always neutral in pH. So it's just an example here. Don't take it otherwise that if I'm showing this, it is this much only. It's not like that. So in case, if the roots have at initial level, at actually the initial level when we are giving nutrients to the roots, they are actually at neutral pH. So the has a hydrogen ion that is 50 and hydroxy ion that is 50 again. So now what happens here is, after plants they actually complete their food making process, they are left with two ions in the stem, that is same as hydrogen ion and hydroxy ion, that is OH negative. Now, after making the food process, we take, plants have actually 100 hydrogen ions available and 100 hydroxy ion available. Now, after the food processing is done, plants again ask for nutrition. So we again go ahead and give them the actual nutrients here. So these positive and negative ions are always kept in balanced form by the plants, whether it's hydrogen or whether it's hydroxy. So both hydrogen and hydroxy, these positive and negative ions are always kept in balanced form by the plants in the root as well as in the stem. So count of hydrogen and hydroxy ions, they are same in stem and same in root as well. Let's move forward. Now, the nutrients that we actually give to the plants, they are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, sulfur, boron, iron, zinc, molybdenum, manganese, magnesium and copper. All the metals, they are positive. Phosphorus, sulfur, they are actually negative. Only two are negative and rest all we are giving positive ions. So let's just go ahead. Just for the example, we are not actually giving the source here. It's just an example here. So if we are actually giving N plus, P negative, K plus, Ca plus, SO4 minus, Bo plus, Fe plus, zinc plus, Mo plus, zinc, manganese plus, magnesium plus, copper plus. So if we are just giving this, so that means if we are doing that, we are giving N plus, we are giving P negative to the hydroxy, we are giving K positive to hydrogen again, then Ca positive to hydrogen again, and the cycle goes on. All in total, the hydrogen positive ion would add with plus 10 positive ion. So that would make it 110. And hydroxy, as it is already 100 there, it would be actually added with plus 2 negative ions. So it will be altogether 102. Now, to balance this positive and negative ions, plant shift their extra 8 plus ions to the roots. And there is all in total 50 plus 8, that is equal to 58. Now this 50 is actually converted to 58. This becomes 58 here. After the extra 8 plus ions are being transferred to the roots, this becomes 58, and the hydroxy actually remains the same, that is 50. Now again, when the plant's making process is actually done, and we again repeat the same process by giving N plus, P negative, K positive, C positive, calcium positive, sulfur negative, boron positive, we repeat the same process of giving nutrients to the plants. That time, as it already has 8 elements in extra, 8 positive elements in extra, it will not take any 2 positive metal ions or 2 positive ions from the nutrients, because root actually has the information itself that it already has 8, so it won't take another 8, it will take only 2. And rest, hydroxy, it is actually 50 there, so to balance it, it will take negative ions, but it will not take positive ions. So there will be again all in total complete imbalance of positive and negative ions. Plants would stop taking nutrients, and at the end of the day, plants would either have a nutrient deficiency diseases, or it will show some deficiency signs, or it will just go dead. So we need to be very careful while we are actually making our nutrient blends for our plants in our hydroponic system. So make sure that you actually have the knowledge to make the nutrients of your hydroponic system. And if you are actually asking any technical person or any consultant or any expert, ask them to give you the balance of positive and negative ions of the nutrients that they are actually preparing for your plants that you will be planting in your hydroponic system. There can be a difference of almost 0.2%, 0.1%, or I would say even 1% is acceptable, 2% is also acceptable, but not more than 3 or 5%. That would actually really give stress to your plants, and it's very difficult to actually control the stress part of the plants in hydroponics. So it's very easy to handle plants in hydroponics, but if you are very attentive and very careful from the starting stage itself, because only after that it will give you the maximum production that you actually are looking forward to get from your hydroponic system. So now we will end this session here. I hope this had been a very informative session for you all. See you tomorrow in the next session. Till then, goodbye and have a nice day.